Earlier today on ESPN on First Take, Cam Newton and Stephen A. Smith touched on the Cowboys, as they do oftentimes. But they were discussing Micah Parsons and Trevon Diggs' conversation regarding their quarterback rankings, where they don't mention Dak Prescott in this conversation, which has people talking. So let's hear what Cam Newton says, and then we'll hear what Stephen A. Smith has to say about this. Here we go from Cam Newton.
Not naming Dak in the top 10 as in season. Like, how foul is that?
I don't think it's foul because the key word here is right now. That was the key word. But we in New York, right?
Yeah.
It's a rapper by the name of Sean Carter.
Okay, I got nervous
Jay-Z.
when you were going there. I was like, let's pause.
We don't believe you. We need more people. That's what he said.
That's right.
His teammates have identified them as saying, like, I don't know if we really sold on Dak. But the key word here is right now. They said it multiple times in that tape. I don't know a lot of people playing good football right now. Dak Prescott is not playing good football right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think it's right to not mention Dak Prescott right now as a top 10 quarterback. But this is where I think sometimes players having podcasts during the season can be somewhat problematic, just because it creates a lot more noise, which, I mean, if you're Jerry Jones, you probably love that Micah Parsons is talking with Trevon Diggs after some, controversial, situation with the reporter. I saw that Trevon Diggs and the reporter seemed to make up, and they both apologized to each other, which is cool to see. So they sort of had that figured out. But it's just, I was thinking about this, and, I don't have a problem if a player enjoys doing podcasts and wants to have, players on during the season. I just think that you have to know that your words are going to get parsed apart. The magnifying glass is going to be on everything you say, especially when you're Micah Parsons, especially when you're talking about the Dallas Cowboys, especially when the Cowboys are in a slump right now, not playing well at 3-4. You have to know that with you having this podcast, it is going to create way more noise than there would have been if you didn't have this podcast. So I have no problem with them talking about, quarterbacks, but it's not the greatest look to not talk about your quarterback. I know that he's not playing that well right now, but it becomes a topic and becomes a storyline, and clearly the Cowboys players don't seem to shy away from looking at what the media is saying about them. At least Trevon Diggs, with him looking at Twitter or seeing the tweet that the reporter sort of confronted him on right after the game. These guys definitely pay attention to the noise. At least some of them do, or at least Trevon Diggs does. And so it just creates more noise. And I guess it depends on, are you okay with that? Do you want that? Is it really best for your team? But that's sort of the question there. Now let's hear what Stephen A. Smith has to say about this.
You weren't here, Ryan Clark, okay? This brother, all right, has been on this show with me when I've said, I've been around an abundance of Cowboys over the last couple of years when they were in the midst of those 12-5 seasons, not just now. And they were very, very, very confident with everybody. And then you brought up the quarterback, and they go, yeah, man, we believe he gonna do it, man. He's gonna do it, man. That was the mentality, Cam. Everybody else, stoic, straight up. Man, please, we ain't worried about that. We got that handle. Ain't no big deal. And then you got to the quarterback. Because they don't believe, fellas. They hope, but they don't expect, and they don't believe. And then this season, we looking at Dak Prescott, 59% of his passes, passer rating at 84.5, 10 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, worst of his career over the first 7 games.
Yeah.
This is what we've been seeing from Dak Prescott, man. So they didn't lie. They told the truth. So now here's the question, and this is the question for RC and Cam. Here's the question, y'all. Did they do it on purpose? Now, Micah is in front of that microphone. But hold on. Let me tell you this about Micah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Micah has been working on hosting. He's been working on really elevating his cachet as a podcast and what have you. He takes it seriously. I'm saying to you, it's not lost on me that I don't, why would you do it? Why wouldn't you do it the way Cam and RC articulated?
They get you comfortable, Stephen A. Then all of a sudden, you start answering too many questions.
We're going to send you a copy of it and say, watch it, Molly. Do you want it?
And then I'm going to walk away and I'm going to be like, wait, did I say that?
Yeah.
So I felt like it was one of those kind of moments, Stephen A., where they were just, they were in the moment, in the mix.
Stephen A. drinking out of a red Solo cup? Is this the first take cookout, Stephen A.?
What you talking about?
You drinking out of a red Solo cup?
Okay, we'll stop that there. It did sound to me like when they were talking to each other, that they weren't thinking about it or really recognizing, the fact that they weren't bringing up Dak Prescott in the top quarterbacks. And maybe they just didn't bring up Dak because in their mind, he's their quarterback and they're sort of looking at the rest of the NFL. That could be the case. It's just tough because it creates a ton of noise for the Cowboys. And I feel like it sort of adds fuel to the fire when the Cowboys are struggling. So, I have no problem with a player having a podcast, but, at times you do wonder if it creates more distraction than there needs to be. But if a guy wants to have a podcast, then I think, he should be able to have a podcast. And as I said, I think Jerry Jones probably would love all of his players to have podcasts. But I don't think that Micah Parsons and Trevon Diggs, have a problem with Dak Prescott. They probably want him to play better just as everyone else wants other Cowboys players to play better, but it does create some more noise. If you guys want more Cowboys content, feel free to subscribe down below, and I'll see you guys next time.